Manchester United were forced to make a late move for Marcel Sabitzer, the Austrian midfielder, on loan from Bayern Munich after Christian Eriksen was ruled out for 3 months. So Sabitzer is in there. Is he a strong enough replacement?
I think he's the best they could have got at short notice, and with owners who didn't want to invest in a permanent signing this window. I think the main aim coming into January was to find a short-term solution in terms of replacing Ronaldo. They've done that without Weghorst. They wanted a backup goalkeeper. They got that with Jack Butland. And as the severity of Eriksen's injury began to materialise, they scoured the market for somebody who would be available as a short-term fix. A bit known to their scouting department for some time, as I understand it. They see him as experienced, energetic, a leader. He can score goals. Hasn't been brilliant for Bayern Munich. He was a very good player at RB Leipzig. I don't think they could have done much better under those perimeters. And I think you have to trust Erik ten Hag, who ultimately had final say in this transfer. And they had to get somebody, because that midfield is light, not just because of the Eriksen situation. Van der Beek is out for the season. Scott McTominay picked up a knock at the weekend, and they're still in full competition. So I think what you have to say is they acted quickly. And that hasn't always been the case in the past.
That's right. I mean, I think United fans, like all the other fans of every other club bar Chelsea, Danny, are standing back thinking, what the hell's going on? We've got to do something. And then they thought, as Alex said, well, Eriksen's gone for a while. What are they going to do? They did act. They did operate. They moved in. They got this boy.
Yeah, I mean, he is experienced, which he's played in big arenas. You know, he's somebody who hopefully for United will be able to deal with that, because it is pressure going to a club like United. He's not like Erik. Eriksen's more silky. Eriksen's more of a playmaker. Sabitzer likes to get on the end of things. He's got a bit more athleticism and energy. Good strike on him. Can score a goal. He has had a stop-start time at Munich, hasn't he? He's not been a regular, but yeah, it's numbers, and it's somebody, as I say, who's used to playing at big level, big stadiums, and should be able to cope with it. But don't expect him to be like Eriksen and drop in and play round corners and open up teams with his passing. He's not really that.
So, Danny, I mean, Brighton's Moises Caicedo, Arsenal failed not once but twice. Second bid, 70 million. He stays at Brighton. How that'll go down next time he goes out in front of the Brighton fans remains to be seen. We'll talk about that in a moment. So Arsenal move and they get Jorginho, 12 million. You give that the thumbs up, right?
100%. Really clever bit of business, that. Partey, I think he's struggling a bit. And he doesn't tend to play a full season, but I heard he come off, didn't he, half time in the City game?
Yeah, I think it's only minor though. I think he's okay.
You need some cover. I think he is somebody who will cope with any high pressure situation he's put into, whether it's off the bench, whether starting. If they're still in the race, which they should be with 10 games to go and Partey's injured, Jorginho coming in the team is, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
He doesn't quite have Partey's physicality, but knitting the game together, talking to people around him, knows the position. Anyone doubting that move, I don't see where the scepticism comes, really. For the price, for 12 million, what is it, 18-month contract? I think it's a great bit of business.
Simon, this is where I think at times the window itself and the dealings that get done, it's almost illogical. How can Arsenal then go from a failed £70 million bid for Caicedo, think what we do now, how about 12 for Jorginho? And they get him.
Well, look, I mean, Arsenal do business in a certain way, as do all clubs, and the absence of intelligence doesn't make it mutually exclusive in terms of what they're trying to achieve. The fact they went after one player and that player fell away, not having a position where you wanted to look at an alternative will probably be more remiss of them. Now, Jorginho is an opportunity that probably landed in their lap because Chelsea are looking at it going, he's going to be out of contract. He's on our balance sheet worth 4 or 5 million quid. We sell him for 12 million quid. We banked a £7 million profit. We've probably covered one part of a deal that we've done somewhere else. So there's sense to it. The fact that they're prepared to sell him, Chelsea, tells you where they think they are at this particular time of the season, because they're actually furthering Arsenal's gain by doing it, because they're adding value to Arsenal.
And they bought everybody else.
And they bought everybody else, sure, absolutely. But notwithstanding it, I don't think it's as bleak as what you're painting it, which is, hang on, you've gone from 70 million quid over here to 12 million pounds over there.
Well,
opportunity, not.
It's about being flexible, isn't it?
Yeah,
the other thing we're missing here is they're different midfielders. Jorginho,
doing different jobs.
Yeah. So actually, there is some logic in it when you think if they really want the lad at Brighton and he is a certain type, then if you're going to go and get somebody to replace him, you're just filling the space for when he comes, they hope, in the summer, I would imagine.
I mean, have we entered new territory now, though, Simon, in terms of what is value in the market? Is it now impossible to grasp what a player's actually worth?
Well, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? I question whether Arsenal actually genuinely believed that there was any opportunity to get the Brighton player, because they were really clear, Brighton, from the get-go. And Tony Bloom isn't one of those that plays hide and seek with himself. He's very clear in what he does and doesn't want. So it looks like a good set of motivation and ambition from Arsenal to go put a £70 million bid in for a player that they really weren't going to get. And it supports the narrative that Arsenal cannot not take advantage of. This is the moment, cometh the hour, cometh the owner, buy this opportunity because you could win the Premier League as a result of it. Or we tried, but we did some business. But, value is, like I've said, it's in the eye of the beholder. But we've discussed it a moment ago. The release clauses that people are putting in contracts are defining whether players can and can't be bought, and what they can and can't be bought for. The only reason Jack Grealish went for £100 million because he damn straight ain't worth it is because Aston Villa had the foresight to put a £100 million clause in there, thinking no one was mad enough to do it.
Yeah.
Right? And they did. And the same thing with Benfica. They must be sitting there rubbing their hands thinking that all the Christmases have come at once. Because irrespective of how good this player may be, he ain't no £105 million footballer.
Sure. Alex, I don't know about you. I say hats off Brighton. Incredible effort. He's not for sale, Caicedo. Not once but twice. He's not for sale. He's not going anywhere.
I don't agree.
Don't try again.
70 million for Caicedo. I'd have drove him there.
Me too.
I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, he could do a cruise ship next month.
So Tony Bloom and Paul Barber know what they're doing, so why did they not do that?
Well, because they think they'll get it in the summer.
They've booked £60 million of a profit in transactions this year.
I
understand that, but they've also got a manager in the door, and if they start letting Trossard go, they start making decisions left, right and centre, they need to give him the tools to do a job. Now, I know what you're saying, which is doomsday, right? Which is basically he could do a cruise ship, right? And the player...
No, but also I was going to add also the player's mentality changes overnight.
Well, that's a call you make based upon the individual player.
Exactly.
Because if that player suddenly gives you the Mahrez treatment, which is basically, I don't care what you do, I'm going to go on strike.
No, I don't mean that. Even subconsciously when you're on the pitch, he's thinking he's missed out on his move. That can be heavy on you.
But there's high-profile examples of players who've gone the other way. Cristiano Ronaldo wanted to leave United for Real Madrid a year before he actually got the move. Fergie asked him to give them one more season. He played arguably the best football of his career. Virgil van Dijk stayed on at Southampton probably an extra 6 months, and he wanted to. And again, his performance levels didn't dip.
He didn't play. He went trained with the kids.
Yeah, only for a few
Alex,
days.
this is what I'm seeing from Brighton fans. There's Adam, a Brighton fan. Morning, guys. Caicedo's professional. Brighton fans know that.
I'm sure he is. I'm saying
he's a good lad, by the way.
As a Brighton fan, I have no issue with what's happened.
I'm just saying it's a possibility that it'll weigh on him. And the fact is, 70 million quid, he's good. But that's a more than fair price.
Let's have it right here, right? Let's not get too carried away with the narrative that the kid's a professional. He's out there putting social media posts about what he did and what he didn't.
His name's to it.
He allowed himself to do it. It was his Instagram. It might have been the words put together by his agent, but notwithstanding it, let's not get carried away and shroud him.
But the Brighton fans will still embrace him, Simon, won't they?
Well,
they're a good lot.
So they should, because ultimately there is no excuse for a footballer downing tools if they can't get precisely what they want. Brighton gave him an opportunity. Let's remember that. Brighton gave him an opportunity, and his talent gives him the next opportunity. And out the door he'll go. And all this ridiculous narrative that's being built up. Some of these players are having just a little bit too much to say for themselves about what they should and shouldn't be doing. Gundogan talking about how Man City are playing. Players going to Everton, from Everton to Newcastle, saying, "I'm glad I've gone so that I can give the club back 45 million quid."
That was nonsense.
Do one. You're only going because it suits you.
I think also, Jim, if you look at this Brighton situation, they had to stand firm because they've got other players who in the not too distant future are going to be very sought after. They've got a World Cup winner in Alexis McAllister. They've got Mitoma, who is going to go on and play for one of the top clubs in the Premier League and will play regularly in the Champions League. If they bow to player pressure, and I think it's more agent pressure than player pressure, in this scenario, it sets a bad precedent. And McAllister, if he's that way inclined, which I don't believe he is, but he could be, might think, well, I'll do what Moises did and I'll get my move.
But I don't think Brighton are saying no because they want to show this image or they give this perception.
It's partly a show of strength.
I don't think so. I think it's a simple case of, from a footballing perspective, we can't replace him right now, and actually we don't need the money.
Well, I think I would categorise Brighton as big winners in this window, holding on to McAllister, holding on to Caicedo, and life goes on, and they're on the up.
Well, let's put it out. Let's say Arsenal offered 120 million, right? Let's just say Brighton wouldn't be saying no to show this.
Wouldn't they?
Would they?
No. All right, but they didn't, and they held on to him, and it's 10:30.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.